What's up, guys? We are in It's Money Shots with me, Rico Bosco, and Kelly in Vegas. Kelly, you look beautiful. Yellow is a great color on you. You should wear it more. How are you feeling?
Thanks. Feeling good, Megan. Football season's winding down. College basketball season's heating up. You know, I got a lot of shit yesterday for betting against two top five teams, and it didn't work out well for me. But that's kind of what you're going to get from me. I mean, you're going to get my argument that maybe the team with the number in front of it is a little overvalued at times in the marketplace. I stayed off Maryland. And, you know, my buddy said, Kelly, Maryland's going to win. You know, this is a quintessential spot to play them. And I'm like, I can't. And guess what? They got the nice win over Ohio State. Back in the lab today, but this week's card, or today's card, sucks. And I'm doing a Nadeau show after this. And I'm like, what are we going to talk about? I can't talk about
9 games to choose from, I believe. Rico, nice to have you back.
Rico's
nice
back.
to have you back. How you feeling?
Yeah, good. That's a good segue into she said it's Coppin State or Coping State. I guess I'm in a coping state for the last couple of weeks. But
what is it? What is the team name?
Coppin State.
Coppin.
That's what I thought. Did I say it wrong?
No, he was saying Copen because that's the state that he's been in.
Yeah, exactly. So caught a game live yesterday at the Rack or Jersey Mike's. You know, good to see that. Kind of been doing okay with college here and there. But yeah, you know, was excited for tonight. It's weird it's the last game. I feel like this was 2 seconds ago, it was July, and I was texting Kelly, like, get in on this, get in on that, or what do you think of this? So football season is a marathon, but it's also a sprint, weirdly, too. So
it went by so quick, especially since Kelly hung out with me the entire time we were doing baseball, all during the dog days of summer. Those are the days that will grind you down to an absolute fucking stump.
Megan, on that note, I decided I've got enough friends that are really good at baseball. I'm gonna try to piggyback off of their successes in baseball, and we're gonna come in hot this summer. Money Shots baseball.
Yeah, any of them.
I still don't have to watch it, right? Like, as long as I don't have to watch it,
I'll watch it for you. Don't worry.
Any of them hit a World Series future?
You know, what do we have one up right now? Is there one up at the Barstool Sportsbook? Because I love that. I love the Astros rotation, even with JV gone. I'm excited.
She says she's got a lot of friends who are good in baseball. I'm just one of them hit the World Series future from last year that was here. I'm just saying.
And exactly. It was you.
Yeah, put me at the seat at that table. I like to be.
And look, I did hit mine as well, but mine was purely from a fan perspective, and I probably bought it way too early when it was too expensive. So we'll just leave it at that. So before we get too far, I think it was actually funny. I didn't play any college basketball yesterday. Great day. Kind of glad that I didn't, because I probably would have been on Rutgers like a sucker, because that's what I am, a sucker. Especially for Rutgers at the Rack. He's like my accent I was trying to do there didn't really work.
No, I like Rutgers. They just need one guy to shoot. They don't have anybody who could shoot.
But I played NFL yesterday, which Kelly, I texted you, and you're like, "Why would you skip college basketball today and play week 18?"
Well, I should have taken that advice myself. Megan, I went 4-1 in the Vegas contest that I'm in, of course, and bet the lone loser of the Raiders. Jags, went and saw the Jags game in person, had a great time, middled it. Hit
that was a great middle by
Titans
you.
plus 6.5. You just know how, if you watch these two teams enough, you know exactly what the dynamic is. To watch that pick six live was so awesome. That place was actually rocking. And I will say this, Jacksonville's Philadelphia, the South. And I tweeted it, but it didn't go through because I had the worst cell phone service in there. So like certain things were tweeting, certain things weren't. So my entire timeline was just a giant clusterfuck. But I had multiple death threats wearing that King Henry jersey. And those hillbillies, man, let me tell you, Doug's has got some explaining to do about his people, because I've been to Philly, I've been to Giant Stadium or the Jets Stadium, but never for a Jets game. I have been to Foxborough and had a Colts ticket in pocket and never experienced the hate. I mean, I literally had a woman that was probably close to my mother's age, let's call it 65, tell me to watch myself after the game.
You know what you should have done? Exactly what Henry did, and just fucking taken her head and shoved it down.
So, you know, that was my first time getting to watch him live. Obviously, we saw what he did at Alabama. He was a fucking stud.
He's saw what he did slowest, fastest runner in the entire world.
I mean, like he's like a bowling ball out there, just barreling over these like pins. It was a great time. I don't know if I'm going to go back to Jacksonville anytime soon, but it was fun to get to experience that stadium and talk a little trash. Everybody stopped hating me, of course, after the Jags won, and I also subsequently took the jersey off because I got tired of getting shit on.
Well, there's no worries there. The Jags did get through. They'll be in the playoffs. So, speaking of which, are there any early lines that y'all are looking at to hop on? Like, Bengals was at 5.5 yesterday. I blink, and now it's at 6.5. Right? Any early lines? And have y'all played already? Have y'all gotten any sharp texts? Anything?
Go ahead, Kelly.
I played one, and that is it. I played Jacksonville. Unfortunately, got Jacksonville +1. I was sitting there last night, and I just was like waiting, like, come on, where are the lines? They're coming out. They're coming out. Like I was like chomping at the bit, and started to see tweets +2, +2, +2, and I'm like, all right, let me sit on this. Let me not get too overzealous. I'll bet it tomorrow. I'll take Jags in a teaser, Jags +2.5. And I blinked this morning and it was pick'em. And I go, okay, great. Way to snooze on that one, Cal. The problem was there wasn't anything for me to tease them with, Megan. It's not like there was another team at the time. Now, you know who's a great teaser spot? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Dallas Cowboys.
Tom Brady in his first losing regular season. Crazy.
Yeah, so those are the two that I do like. I did take the Jags +1. It is now a pick 'em at the Barstool Sportsbook, but I do think that Tom Brady in a teaser. Look, we're getting some real value with this team at this point in time.
We're getting a ton of value on Tom Brady. Like, I mean, I understand.
It's almost unheard of.
I understand that the old guys haven't looked great, a la Aaron Rodgers, who might have been his last game. Y'all think it was the last game? You didn't want to take that jersey
as a Packer? Yes, it's absolutely. It is 110% his last game as a Packer. He should have been in Denver this year. He should have been in Denver, not Russell Wilson. But maybe I get lucky and we get Sean Payton. He did interview with the Broncos, so we'll see how that plays out.
Rico, you think it's his last game as a Packer?
It seems like it. Yeah, I mean, he's been playing it cute for like the whole year. It's, he's giving these little answers and stuff like that. I just think almost as an organization, you owe it. Like they got to figure how long you're going to hold Jordan Love, and I don't know if necessarily Jordan Love's the guy, but to have that influx or that limbo in a franchise is never going to do well. Like figure it out one way or the other. And if Love is not the guy, then you're like, all right, we reset it. Rodgers' best years might be behind him, so it's like, will he go win one? If he doesn't go win one, you're okay with it because it's like, all right, we had to move on anyway. It's just one of those things. So yeah, I think it might be his last. I don't know where he would go.
That was my lone loser. I was a pack 4.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Totally you were going to thought you would have been on Dan the Man Campbell, Megan.
I think I got caught up in the narrative that the NFL wanted Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs again. I don't know. I think sometimes I just talk myself into really silly things, which we can get to later. But yeah, that was my lone loser. I put a big ass chalky money line parlay together that was absolutely beautiful. I took the Steelers minus the 2.5, and then to round out the day was, of course, Aaron Rodgers losing in such a Aaron Rodgers fashion. Just a loser to lose. That's really mean. He's not a loser. Shout out Aaron Rodgers.
You touched on lines that jumped out. I'd still play the Bengals at 6.5, and I kind of feel like this is going to be the public underdog, maybe with fleas, as Chris has said a bunch of times. Kelly, is anybody on Minnesota, or is everybody jumping on the Giants? Because I've talked myself into the Giants having a great draw. I like what they do. Defense. If you don't have defense in the playoffs, you're in trouble. We saw what the Giants did to Minnesota in the previous meeting. Sometimes I think you can overvalue that, but I think defense travels. The Giants are ready to go. I like
them. It's gotta be the dog. It's gotta be.
And you don't know what's going to happen with the bracket, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. But, like, if Hurts is not back, they got Philly. I don't know. I see Giants in the AFC Championship is what I'm looking at. Like,
what? Okay, pump the brakes, Giants fan. I will say this. That line was the fishiest line. One of my girlfriends works for another outfit, and she does this, like, fishy line segment on Twitter or on TikTok. And I was like, oh, my God. And I immediately texted to her. Because we were kind of just sitting around BSing. I didn't have my computer in front of me, and everybody's like kind of playing that guess the line. What do you think this line's going to be? I said the Vikings were going to be 4.5-point favorites. So when it came out at 3, I'm like, whoa. Let's see how that one ends up playing out. That could be the trap game this week. Rico, I'm with you. This Ravens team is in a world of hurt. Whether it's Brett Hundley, Tyler Huntley, or Lamar Jackson, I don't think it matters. This Bengals team started peaking at the right time, and they've really gotten to that threshold that we saw at this time last year, and I don't really want to step in front of them. As far as your Giants go, I got to look into that one a lot more, but I do agree it looks really trappy. And, I want no part of Geno Smith against that Niners team. Niners, Brock Purdy, good God.
Kelly, I also want to point out, I did say that the Bengals were going to be good again this year, and you're like, I don't think so. And look, they started
off so bad, and I was like, well,
really like, whoo, all right. But shout out to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I did already play the 6.5 that I did see because I don't think that's going to come back down anytime soon.
Oh, no, it's definitely not. And I would see people doing a non-conventional teaser there, Megan. I wouldn't personally, but I could see them just teasing them down to win the game, basically, by 1 or more. And this Dolphins-Bills game is really intriguing, too. Skylar Thompson, I don't think
Tua could be back, though, correct?
Yeah, I think if the rumors are Tua might be back too. The line, like if you think,
but the line doesn't reflect that is kind of my problem, right? If the line was 7.5, I'd be all on board and be like, you guys are right, Tua's back. It doesn't, and I think that's kind of what the line with the Bengals game reflects too. Is it's not going to be Lamar as it starts to creep up throughout the week. I made the game 5.5 with Lamar.
But we've already talked about that drop off from Lamar to Huntley, and we didn't think it was. We thought what 3 points.
Well, I thought about 2.5, 3. Yes, yeah. Megan. But what we saw from Brett Hundley yesterday and the other guy, there's a fourth quarterback, Brooks. Come on. There's a point in time where we're asking a lot for these drop-off guys. Now, Skyler, I think, is a little bit of an exception. He's got a few games underneath his belt. I think that line looks rather suspicious, right? 10.5, middle of January in Buffalo. I mean, it's going to be probably pretty miserable. We'll keep an eye on this stuff. But Seahawks, Niners, I don't want to step in front of that defense. So, yeah, right now, Jags +1, Megan. And then if you can find something to tease the Bucks with, I think they're in an excellent teaser position.
Well, there we go. That is the advice from the girl that does know how to tease probably better than anybody else, because I always like to do the wrong. So she hates when I do it. She doesn't like to say anything, but she does. All right, let's move on to what everyone probably is here for. It is the national championship. You have TCU, and I was asking this earlier to Brandon Walker and asking if this was on a Ken Palm scale. What would the luck margin be on TCU?
Wow. Yeah.
Great question.
Well, heavy.
Yeah. Right.
Like probably point. I'd probably say like K-State right now in basketball, just for reference on Ken Palm, K-State's like 0.117. Right. So like almost 11%. I would say TCU right now is right up in that mix. I mean, think about how many games they won as underdogs, right? Because Vegas didn't. I think the biggest thing is that you don't want to ever over adjust your numbers. This is, Rico and I did a TikTok segment this morning, and this is the largest championship spread ever, and it is for a reason. I mean, TCU has just played so above the level that the math guys, that the bookmakers, that anybody could even begin to fathom. I would say they'd probably be very close to, like, on a Ken Palm scale, like 0.15.
You know what's weird to me though, Megan, and I agree with it too. I think there's a possibility, and again, we don't want to go too crazy into the hypotheticals, but like we're possibly talking about TCU pulling off the biggest championship game upset in basketball or football, and it's weird. It's very weird to me to look at this team like the little, David versus Goliath. They were 200-1 at the beginning of the season. They weren't going to go with Duggan, which is like kind of like you could be like, hey, Dykes is winning coach of the year. He's unbelievable, but it's like, dude, you picked the wrong guy. which is a little, you worry about that. Put a pin in that down the road if he makes problems with that. But it's weird because they're a Big 12 runner-up. I love K-State. We cashed that ticket. That kid was probably in the end zone. They probably should be undefeated. They're a 3 seed in the playoff. Like, they're not Boise. They're not Tulane. Like, it's hard for me to look at this team as like Butler against Duke, or like another mid-major Loyola, Illinois, Loyola, Chicago, if they made the final. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to be in a power conference and be this much of a David versus Goliath, but they kind of are. And I think, we're sitting on possibly watching the biggest upset championship in history. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But I do like the storylines, and that's what makes it interesting with sports. But it's weird because they are a David, but it's like you're from a power conference. You got a Heisman runner-up. Like, you have all the resources. You're from Texas. So it's weird. It's weird to see both sides of that.
My thing is, and again, not to doubt that K-State team, but with this TCU team, I know you're getting at one point 13.5 is now down to 13, but TCU goes in and is going to play this big SEC team, right? TCU lost to K-State. K-State then gets pummeled by Bama. Okay. And it just like, I feel like, again, I know this is a ton of points, and I kept saying to myself, a lot of points. But then, as I said, Brandon went back and showed me in the last, fucking 25 years, how many times, and he said, Clemson skews it a bit, but how many times 13 points has been covered in a national championship game. And you start to look at it and you go, maybe I don't have the right side here with TCU. And Kelly, I text you this morning. I text both of you this morning. I've seen everyone on my timeline, everyone, and I mean, starting to change a little bit now, but everyone was on TCU this morning whenever I first woke up. And I feel like everyone has kind of all day has kind of been doing this, unless you're a TCU fan or unless you're a Georgia fan. This number is so intriguing to me. And I think that is why everyone is being drawn to that Horned Frog side. But I will say, I think this is the stupidest thing ever. And I also hate their mascot. It's ugly and it freaks me the fuck out. That being said,
their alumni aren't great either. We'll leave that there.
But you know what? Hey, I'm going to stop that slander really quick, because as somebody who just got completely obliterated, name called, wife threatened in Jacksonville, when I was in Dallas with TCU fans, every single one of them that I interacted with was so nice. Now, granted,
because they pay to go to college.
I was going to say, well, so did I, Megan. That's kind of how it works.
I did too, but not in that way.
The difference is that their mommies and daddies at TCU pay, because you got to be rich to go to school there. Completely, it's like SMU light. That's why Sonny Dykes did so well there. But in all seriousness, they were great fan bases. Maybe not on Twitter, but everybody I know that is a TCU fan absolutely was just elated to be able to beat Michigan. Listen, they keep doing it. That's why people are betting them, because the market or the general public has finally caught up with them. But I want no part of the side, one way or another. I don't trust Georgia.
What did you end up taking, Kelly?
Of course, Megan. Yeah, of course.
I have a ticket on 63.5, and everyone today, whenever I said that, was like, these teams can score points, right? I'm like, well, someone's. And
you know what? This line is inflated at least 3.5 points because of what we saw. This was another thing Rico and I touched on this morning. Listen, TCU, not one, but 2 pick sixes. That right there is going to skew the betting line.
And Michigan fumbled on the goal line, and that kid, I think that was probably the same possession. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They ran the stupid Philly special, so that's at 3 or 7 on the board, and then the kid was in the end zone. They took that off, and they fumbled. That's either 6, 10, or 14 points maximum on the board. So left 14 and gave away 14 and was still kind of in the game.
And they were. And listen, Georgia, last 2 games. Listen, we keep talking about this Georgia defense, Megan. If you remember last year, I was on Georgia. Everybody was on Alabama. And it was because I took the better defense there, knowing that they lost the SEC championship game, which I was on Alabama in. And everybody's like, well, why are you flip-flopping? It's the same game. Well, it's not. It's not the same game. You're giving Kirby Smart 3 weeks to prepare for TCU. And yes, they've given up 71 points in their last 2 games. And just for reference, they gave up 82 in the previous 7. But my God, Georgia, if you're Kirby Smart and you didn't already watch the Texas game and the K-State game, I have nothing for you. Those are the 2 defenses.
they're not. It's not up to par with what I mean. I'm not saying Stetson Bennett is this fucking glorious quarterback, but he's serviceable. He has experience in this.
He's as old as
spot.
I am, Megan. I hope so.
I thought he was 28. He's 25. But
Okay,
I thought,
then maybe he's
I thought he was a lot older too. But he has the experience. This team has been under him. He obviously showed that he can fucking figure it out under pressure. In my opinion, and I've been told I was wrong by a couple of people, and that's fine. But I truly feel like Georgia almost kind of looked ahead to Ohio State. I think they decided we're gonna win this game. We might not cover it, we'll win it, but we got bigger and better things to go and do. And obviously for Ohio State, that narrative was completely flipped. Like, we got to do this. This is what we have to do.
I mean, that was wild. I mean, we're talking a missed field goal away from being in the Natty. Like, you would think that gives Georgia some sort of, holy shit, we're not invincible.
Right.
And kind of similar. And I thought maybe Kent State or Mizzou gave that to them, but apparently not.
Yeah, I think if they walked into Ohio State and won 45-0, and Ohio State didn't even get off the bus, or Ohio State gave their best effort and they just kept like a little kid, like holding their head when they're swinging at them, trying to like punch them. You know how you do to your little cousin? If they did that, I could see TCU pulling the upset of the shock factor. The one thing, Megan, you touched on was, K-State got smashed by Alabama. Offenses are different. I love K-State, but TCU has way more firepower and seems a way more up-tempo than what K-State wants to do. We know K-State in and out. They're going to run the ball. They're going to try and be slow. TCU, and we've seen it. TCU can come out and have big plays. Quentin Johnson, to me, would be a top 5 pick. I'm horrible at handicapping the draft like that, but that kid is unbelievable. Duggan's got huge heart. He's got huge other things too. Like, he can play. They can go fast. So that's the
as you said, though, that they might have picked the wrong quarterback there. So whenever you go and you put Stetson Bennett and Matt Duggan up to you have this guy that has been there, done that, and has these fucking five stars underneath them everywhere, behind them and on the bench.
Yeah, I'm just making a case of style of play.
No, I understand.
With that said, I would play Georgia. I don't love the side with the 13.5. I think they could smush them. What I would play was Georgia. Because of that, Ohio State gave them a fit. I'd play Georgia to score first and win is -136. And I think TCU can talk themselves into maybe Georgia starts a little slow, and they kick a field goal when they're supposed to get a touchdown. And TCU just looks at moral victories. Like, all right, well, we're down 10-0, and they get stopped in the red zone. All right, if we kick the field goal, okay, it's a 1-score game, like talking themselves into it. TCU's over 1.5 field goals is 2-1. I would play that as well.
I like your.
It's 35-0 in the third quarter, and like, let's just get on the board, and you go get one. Or 35-3, and they just go get on the board. I don't know.
I will say this: Sonny Dykes is not Pat Narduzzi. He does not settle for field goals like some of those old school guys do, or at least not from what I've seen from him recently.
But
I do like that. From the under perspective?
Yeah. 4th and 8 from the 25. I think he might not have the choice.
Oh,
that's
for sure.
I totally respect you. I think he has to go. He should be going for it in his own territory because they ain't winning a low scoring game. Like, he needs the ball. You got to score. So,
Kelly,
but I could
talk myself under, by the way, if you want.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay, 31.
I took the under 31.5 for the first half. It is just kind of one of those games, Megan, where I'm going to be a contrarian asshole. And that's why, because this is a spot where I think the line is inflated based on recency bias of the last couple of weeks. Prior to the Fiesta Bowl, TCU went under the total 6 out of 8 games. I mean, they're an under team. Yes, Rico's right. They do have more offensive firepower than a Kansas State. And we did see that in the K-State game in the second half. They are a great second half team. I think if you like Georgia, maybe you play Georgia in the first half. I feel like something wonky is going to happen. I really do. Like, something stupid is going to happen if I lay it with Georgia, and I'm going to lose, and then I'm going to be pissed. Because as we talked about, there's 4, I want to touch on this real quick, 4 double-digit favorites basically since 2000. Florida State lost its 10-point favorites to Oklahoma in 2000. In 2001, Miami was an 11-point favorite over Ohio State, also lost outright. 2012, Alabama, Notre Dame, Alabama waxed their asses. It was not – Megan, the whole world was on Notre Dame, the whole world, and just pummeled them. And then Florida State, the whole world was on Florida State over Auburn with Jameis Winston. And, Jameis Winston makes a great throw. They get the win, but nowhere close to covering the 12.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm taking Georgia minus the 13. I'm taking the under 63.5, and I'm taking the first half under 31.5. I'm tailing Rico on Georgia to score first and win, and maybe even make a parlay plus later, because I do like Duggan's over rushing. I think he's going to be trying to make things happen no matter what. This is kind of like a leave it out on the field scenario for the entire TCU team, because they didn't expect to be here.
What's Bowers anytime touchdown?
I know 2 is plus 400, so I know anytime would have to equate to something, probably like minus 125. I don't know. Let me go look.
Maybe. Yeah,
I'll
like
pop
that
it open real quick for you, Megan.
I think Bowers finds the end zone.
Let me see. Yeah, I have Kelly, because my things.
No worries, I got it. Okay, anytime touchdown scores
Bauer
74. Good God, there's some really nice alternative totals here too. Like I said, I made the game 52. Yes, is that 11 points off the market? I am not some crazy totals better for what it's worth, so don't take that with a grain of salt. But I do think that maybe trying to find an alternative line might be
Ours
the
is
way
minus
to go.
167. Sorry.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I was close. Not.
I was,
so maybe you put that in with the Georgia money line on a parlay. Figure that out. But
and then maybe
Kelly. I don't. You guys are both on the under. I don't hate the under. I think there's a very possibility that Georgia sits on this.
And Kelly, you know that I am not a contrarian, and so the fact that I've come up with the under, and you as a contrarian asshole have come up with the under, makes me feel kind of good. I'm not gonna lie. So just to wrap it up, we don't need to go into depth or detail, because these games are really small today, and I need to go pick up my son from school. I'm on Howard plus a 3 tonight. That line's moved all the way down to a pick 'em back plus 1. I'm on Alabama State plus 7, which is at 7.5 now if you want it. But if you go, Alabama State has played some fucking competition. I mean, so has Alcorn, but I like Alabama State catching the 7 there now, 7.5, as I said. And then I'm on the opposite of Mr. Bosco here. I have Oral Roberts plus the 6. It's now down to 5.5. But those are the college basketball plays I'm on for the day. Kelly, Rico, take it away. Whoever would like.
Rico, you're up. I can't name a single player on any one of these teams.
It's all right.
That doesn't matter.
The dog of the day is back. Dog of the day has been pretty good for the last couple. I hit 3 in a row Saturday, 2 outright winners. Yesterday, Iowa was plus 5.5. Should have played the money line. I thought that line was weird. I'm going to ride with you, Megan, on Alabama State. There's very little to choose from here, but I'll take them plus the 7.5. I would lean New Mexico. I don't know if I'm going to make that a full play, but I do love Colgate minus the 7.5. Now, Army can play, and Colgate's got some issues with defense, but they're extremely efficient on offense. This is a team that I thought was going to beat Wisconsin in the first round last year. I like their coach. I like their system. I like Colgate, even on the road. I've been to Army, tough place to go, but I would lean Colgate minus the 7.5.
All right. And Cal, what are you leaning towards? Anybody send you anything? Any tips, any tipsters your way?
I've got nothing from anyone, but I will say this. I'm going to have a pretty good college basketball card for tomorrow. I've got a long list waiting for the lines to come out tonight. But as of right now, looking at the Wildcats, because you just can't deny this hot streak. We'll see what the line comes out at. Anything under 3, I'll probably be on K-State. Looking at Texas Tech at Iowa State. Ole Miss is going to be a really intriguing matchup there. Excited to kind of see how that one plays out against Auburn. I'm going to text Mintz, get his thoughts. KU back at home, Allen Fieldhouse after their 2-game road trip. They just completely demolished me. Oklahoma, they've just not played up to the level of competition this year, and I think KU could just mop the floor with them. And then last but not least, on my long list as of right now, Megan, looking to bet against your LSU Tigers.
They didn't have a very good showing last time out. So,
and you know what? Florida made me kind of scared after I had that 8.5 as my best bet with Georgia. But we got to the window, got to catch the ticket. I think this Florida Gators team is starting to peak at the right time. So I'm looking to bet on them. But we'll see how everything comes out tonight with the overnight lines.
All right. Yeah. Rico, you have anything else you want to add, my man?
Just one. I mean, stick it in your, in your cap or file it away. But like, there's no super team in college basketball right now. It's Kansas's title to lose. And I know that's difficult with a 6'7" center, but they were 15-1 when they were 3 in the country. Again, like I was like, When did Kansas, and I know it's difficult to go back and back, when did Kansas all of a sudden get disrespected? It's down to like 9 now. Kansas is good, man.
I think they went on an 8-game win streak all of a sudden. They lost to Tennessee on my birthday, and I bet against them. And the last 2 times I bet against them, it's backfired. In Allen Fieldhouse, you're always going to get home cooking too. Something to really keep an eye on. Rico, I'm going to be in Manhattan, though, for that K-State KU game. And I think K-State might open as a 1-point favorite if they keep this win streak up. And everybody's going to lose their minds.
Yeah, I had them the other day. They're really good. So.
All right, guys, let's finish up here so we can all get our snack trays ready, get our elastic pants on.
Rico told me last night that I need to be better on TikTok. So I'm sitting on TikTok trying to find something. I'm like, this motherfucker's over here making pizza rolls. Like, what?
Hey, whatever.
I enjoyed it. It looked really
80K eyeballs on pizza balls. 80K.
Whatever it takes. Whatever.
That makes no sense.
I got a new pizza oven today. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to do a pizza TikTok just so I can copy you. And I bet I get 8 views because TikTok hates me. They kick half my shit off, say that I'm violating some community standards.
And for the record, I didn't say you needed to be better on TikTok. I think it was like, hey, I'm doing this. And you were like, how do I do that? Because, I'm on double secret probation. I can't be telling people positive and negatives.
I'm going to be there next if I don't learn how to friggin' TikTok.
All right, guys, that's enough. We have a big game tonight. Everyone, best of luck. Go Georgia, go under. And I hope we can all cash our tickets.
See you later.
Love you guys.